Hello, good afternoon and welcome to the marketplace. Coming up in this bulletin, August inflation slows to 11.5%, the lowest since October 2021.
Data show inflation is falling steadily. Prices rose by 11.5% in August 2025, down from 12.1% in July. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the lowest inflation rate we've seen in almost 4 years.
What does this mean to the economy? We will be discussing that with an economist shortly. Bank of Ghana sells one of its highest amounts in dollar auction in recent times as it takes steps to deal with current pressures on the cedi. We'll be telling you more as well. Also coming up in this bulletin, Ghana records earnings from gold may not be ending soon as price of the precious metal hit fresh levels. We'll have more in this bulletin. So we have these and more coming up in this bulletin. My name is Winston Taki. Now, the Ghana cedi has depreciated across both the interbank and retail market last week following strong demand amid weak support for foreign exchange. Let's bring you updates on how the Ghana cedi is performing against major global currencies. This is the marketplace. Now to our first business story. Inflation rate for the month of August has slowed further to reach record level. Data released by the Statistical Service today showed that it slowed marginally from 12.1% in July to hit 11.5% last month. The decline, according to the Statistical Service, was influenced the general price levels of some food items declining from July to August this year. The 11.5% decline in the month of August 2025 is the lowest the country has recorded since October 2021. Dr. Alhassan Idrisu is a government statistician.
Data show inflation is falling steadily. Prices rose by 11.5% in August 2025, down from 12.1% in July. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the lowest inflation rate we've seen in almost 4 years, and it marks the 8th month in a row of decline. Overall prices actually fell by 1.3% between July and August 2025, meaning that there's some relief for households once inflation is coming down, and also once prices fell between July and August. Food prices are also easing. Food inflation is now 14.8%, and non-food prices fell by 2.5% in 1 month. Non-food prices are also moderating. Non-food inflation declined to 8.7% from 9.5% in July. And here, prices of non-food items reduced slightly by 0.1% between July and August. Goods inflation slowed too. Inflation for goods dropped to 13.9% from 14.2% in July. And here, the overall prices of goods fell by 1.6% between July and August 2025. Inflation, as we've seen, is higher for local items than for imports, while imported prices are easing faster thanks to stronger exchange rate and the lower global cost pressures.
Now let's get on to Zoom and speak to economist Professor Peter Quartey on the inflation numbers. Welcome to the marketplace, Prof. Now, how do you assess the latest inflation figures for August 2025?
Well, good afternoon to your discerning viewers. I think it's much expected, given that we are under an IMF stabilization program, and then also looking at the fundamentals so far. I think the program that has started last year and beyond has caused quite an improvement. So the stabilization program that is being pursued over the past couple of years, and also as anchored by government consistently, is helping ease the inflation. I must say that food inflation is still not at the level that's expected. We are seeing much more significant decline in non-food inflation than food inflation. So it just points to the policymakers to look deeply, take a deep dive into the areas where we can improve food production, food supply, so we're able to reduce food inflation significantly. But I must say, from where we have come from, where in December, food inflation was around 23.8%, and currently we are having 11.5% rate of inflation, is quite encouraging. And then the data released by Statistical Service is also very rich. It tells you the products that you will find higher inflation: coconut, watermelon, cashew, avocado, ginger, palm nuts, apple. These are the high inflation commodities that locally cause inflation.
Great. Prof,
right. So we can look at that carefully.
Okay,
Yeah.
you touched on the food inflation. Now, the data that was released highlight food and transport costs as the main drivers. Does that surprise you in any way?
It doesn't, in the sense that, I mean, if we all go to the market, we all hear our traders, we all hear our mothers, we hear our sisters and those of us who go to the market as well, we see that food prices continue to be high, although there is some marginal decline. We've seen all the appeal to market women to even reduce food prices. So it doesn't surprise me. Then with transport, transport fares, we've seen some marginal increases in transport fares over time, and we think these are all cost to the consumer, to the average Ghanaian. But I must say, it's still much better than what we used to see. The IMF stabilization program, and also in domestic policies, and also external factors have gradually helped to ease the challenges we are facing, or used to face, or we're facing.
Great. It seems government has already achieved its end-of-year inflation target ahead of schedule. What measures are needed to consolidate and sustain this progress?
I think the fiscal discipline is very important. We need to remain focused, because oftentimes it is the last 3 months of the year that we see some level of indiscipline in our fiscal numbers. During the last 3 months that we see increased demand for Christmas items, increased demand for imports, increased expenditure, and that drives inflation. So we still have to maintain the stability, fiscal prudence, stability, as we have started, and also ensure that the exchange rate remains stable. There's a marginal depreciation, but that is to be expected. We're hoping that we'll maintain some stability till the end of the year.
Well, finally, looking ahead, what risk could threaten the current slowdown in inflation? What policy action should government and the Bank of Ghana prioritize to maintain stability into next year?
We are vulnerable. I mean, any commodity price shocks can hit us significantly. For instance, crude oil prices, touch wood, or God forbid, if any country, any of the oil exporting countries start a fight, or should U.S. Pursue some policy that might affect oil prices globally, that would affect us significantly. So that external factor is very important. Commodity prices, especially oil, is critical in our inflation measures. Then the exchange rate. If we are not able to maintain a stable exchange rate regime, and the current depreciation escalates, then we are likely to face major problems with our inflation. Food production, I think, so far, it's been planted from now to December. People have invested already. Farmers have invested and planted the crops, and some are, harvesting. So that may not be a major factor unless there is some fire hazard or unforeseen circumstances. Otherwise, I think we are not likely to face any higher inflation from now to December.
We appreciate your time here on the Marketplace, Professor Peter Quartey, for speaking to us here on the Marketplace. Now, in other developments still on the agri sector, Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture, John Dumelo, has underscored the need for heavy investment in local research and development in the agricultural sector. He observes successive governments have failed to dedicate adequate funding to the sector to facilitate scientific research that could enhance productivity and ensure improved food security. According to him, the country's agricultural sector can only thrive efficiently if more funds are channeled to the sector for tailor-made research. There is more in this report.
The Deputy Sector Minister has been touring the Crops Research Institute to be abreast with the research activities by local scientists. It is part of the Feed Ghana project, which seeks to promote agricultural productivity by institutions, including government institutions and religious bodies. The team of researchers led by the Director of the Research Institute exposed the Minister and his delegation to a variety of enhanced crops developed to support the government's initiative. Local researchers have over the years called for more investment into the scientific and research community to churn out works that would enhance agriculture rather than foreign investments that usually are specific to the donors. The Deputy Sector Minister, John Dumelo, stressed on the need to depoliticize the agriculture sector.
If you look at other countries, they invest a lot in R&D, mainly because we have to be efficient. And in Ghana, we want to be efficient. It's not really about the size of the land. It's about how many tons you can get from an acre. And so we can say, Ghana has so many land. But if we are able to get 2 or 3 tons per hectare of maize, that's not what we want. We want, 5 or 6 or even sometimes 10 tons per hectare, so it's about efficiency. And efficiency comes with CSIR. CSIR is doing an amazing job. I've been touring here today, and some of the varieties that they have, in fact, all the varieties that they have are something that, if well invested in, can solve most of our problems instead of importation of seeds and so on and so forth. And so I think they need to be adequately funded. We need to make it a purpose, or we need to be intentional about research and development.
Director of the Crops Research Institute, Professor Maxwell Dakwasante, reiterated their commitment to provide technical expertise to achieve the goals for the Feed Ghana project.
We have also put together a team that can support all the other institutions that are doing institutional farming. We'll give them what we call the technical backstopping. It's so important, and I'm happy that Minister understands that. So because all the nations that have developed is because of the emphasis they have put on R&D. And as I mentioned, it's a continuous process. So the technology that is good today will not be good in the next 10 years. So our appeal is that every government program should have a section on R&D.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
Now, away from the Minister of Communications, Digital Technologies, Sam George, has reaffirmed government's commitment to press ahead with sanctions, with MultiChoice Ghana failing to reveal rates after the September 6th deadline. He disclosed in an interview with journalists at the program in Accra. The Minister further revealed that government will meet with MultiChoice tomorrow to reach a decision. Now let's move to some final story. The Bank of Ghana is taking some aggressive measures to deal with the recent liquidity issues and pressure on the Ghana cedi. To this end, the central bank has sold one of its highest amount in dollar auctions to the market. Details in this report.
The more than $200 million that the Bank of Ghana sold through its 7-day forward auction is coming at the time that the central bank has been a little bit off the market for a while in terms of dollar intervention. The Bank of Ghana first came through with $100 million, but that amount was increased to $208 million. However, for some of the banks, they say the amount was still not enough. But for many, it wasn't just about the amount, but the rate offered by the participating banks and what the Bank of Ghana accepted. At the end of the auction, the quotes were in the range of 11 Ghana cedis, 80 pesos, and 12 Ghana cedis, 15 pesos. Meanwhile, market data showed that for the month of August, the Bank of Ghana sold some $737 million through its forward auction program. However, this represented more than 18% drop over the more than $900 million that it sold in July this year. The development indeed shows that the Bank of Ghana has been reducing the amount of dollars it sells through its forward auction program.
Meanwhile, Bank of Ghana has investigated about 2,283 forgery cases from 2019 to 2023, with 115 charged for money laundering. The 2025 anti-money laundering report has revealed. There is more in this report.
The report also revealed that the country has taken some bold steps to also prosecute persons that were found to be engaging in those practices. Also, in the area of terrorist financing, the country rate was low due to the fact that there are no terrorist groups identified to be operating in Ghana. Additionally, government has also put in place robust measures to safeguard their jurisdiction from being used to raise, move or store funds for terrorism purposes. Despite this progress, the report emphasized the need for enhanced coordination between government agencies to address what it describes as emerging risk. However, the report was worried about the lack of regulation in the real estate sector, as well as timely access to reliable beneficial ownership of assets, which exposes the country to some of these threats. On the other hand, fraud, tax offences and drug trafficking have been identified as the major offences confronting the country.
Moving on, some oil marketing companies have started increasing prices of petroleum products at the pumps. The move is in line with industry projections that most of these firms will review their prices from today.
Goil took the lead, increasing petrol by 11 pesos, resulting in a litre going for 12 cedis, 11 pesos. However, that of diesel has gone down by 40 pesos and a litre is selling at 13 cedis, 90 pesos. Another major oil firm, Shell, has increased the price of petrol by 70 pesos. This means that a litre of petrol is now going for 13 cedis, 59 pesos. Some of the major oil marketing companies have told Joy Business that they will adjust from tomorrow or latest by this Friday. However, market leader Star Oil has announced it will not increase prices for this window. This should mean that it will still be selling a litre of petrol at 12 cedis 77 pesos, while a litre of diesel will go for 13 cedis 45 pesos. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Rufising Opong, had earlier explained to Joy Business that consumers will not see that huge margin increase in prices as earlier projected. According to the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, the increase has been influenced by the cedi's recent depreciation and some supply challenges with some products.
We have more business update for you right after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the marketplace. Now to more business story. The country's record earnings from gold export may not be ending soon. This is because the price of the precious metal continues to increase on the international market. There is more in this report.
Gold prices have reached more than $3,500 yesterday as investors sought to protect their funds due to the current global economic uncertainty. And there are strong indications that demand will be going up in the coming days, a move that could push prices up again. Recent World Bank report has shown that Ghana's strong economic recovery has been influenced by soaring gold prices. The country's earnings from gold reached more than $8.3 billion in the first 6 months of this year. It has helped boost Ghana's international reserves, a development that could help in stabilizing the Ghana cedi going forward. Some analysts have argued that with the rising gold prices, that should help Bank of Ghana fast-track the process of hedging gold prices on the international market.
A new CDD Ghana baseline study has revealed that nearly 70% of people in the northern regions lack access to key productive assets such as land, livestock, and farming equipment, with the Upper East recording the worst at over 99%.
Ghana Center for Democratic Development CDD Ghana, in collaboration with Caro Ghana, with funding by the Global Community Engagement and Resilience Fund, is implementing a 2-year project dubbed Bridging the Gap, Promotion of Socio-Economic Livelihood, Social Cohesion, and Peace Building in Vulnerable Communities. In line with the project, the Upper Regional Dialogue Session was held in the War Municipality to discuss a baseline survey conducted by CDD Ghana. Program Officer at CDD Ghana, Eric Doe, presented the baseline survey, revealing that 70% of community members in the northern sector of Ghana lack access to productive assets.
From the baseline survey, we realized that out of every 10, there are 7 people who don't have access to productive assets. When we refer to productive assets from our baseline, it refers to land, farming tools, and livestock. There were also disparities in terms of limited access to essential productive assets. What are the driving factors for this baseline productive assets we talk about? We have issues of climate change contributing, youth unemployment, land ownership, limited resources, especially for football women and youth.
Executive Director of Caro Ghana, a non-governmental organization based in the Upper West region, and implementers of the project, Freeman Canton, further to light about the project.
And today's survey dissemination meeting is supposed to desensitize, is supposed to provide information to regional stakeholders as leaders in public service delivery in the region, to act as ambassadors at the district level to ensure that young people participate or have access to public services in order.
That's all for business here on the marketplace. My name is Winston Taki. Thanks for watching and have a good business day. Bye-bye.